How's it? Do you ever feel like you are on a rotating marble in the middle of the universe with no real idea what's going on? Interesting, so do I. Well, believe it or not, a small tip to get that weight off your shoulders is, weirdly enough, to move a completely different muscle, your chest. Welcome. We had chest pretty gosh dang good. Funny enough though, on that topic, I feel like it is so prevalent, especially in my age group. So I've just turned 20, right? So I'm quite young. Like, people may think 20 is old, but you know, 18 to, I feel like 30, you're just really floating around. And I don't think it's emphasized enough and kind of documented enough, the sort of growth of people from in that age group, because that's really where you start figuring out how your life works, what's going on in your life, and like really how to live. And that's when you start creating core memories, well, not memories, but core values and lifestyle choices. Now, I think it's so prevalent in my age group and, you know, the generations below me, in the sense that we don't really know what's going on, is due to, weirdly enough, an influx in information through the internet, right? So that's like, may sound kind of, you know, what would the word be? Kind of counterintuitive in the sense of conflicting, whatever. So due to the influx of information and you being able to literally get whatever you want at the tip of your fingertip through the internet, through Google, it kind of overloads people. And I think as a result, it's kind of left a generation in limbo. And growing up, this has more than likely happened to every generation ever and is going to happen to every generation to come. You know, you kind of feel a bit lost. And this is the age where I feel you find yourself and you begin to, you know, make your own path through life. You're no longer really a child. You aren't an adult, and you're kind of figuring out how to become an adult. Now, even adults, they're just like, to be completely honest with you, and I've spoken with, you know, many that adults, they more than likely don't really know what's going on in the world either, which is a bit frightening and scary. However, if you kind of look at it from a different sense, there's a phrase from a philosopher that I quite like, that essentially says, well, to put it into layman's terms, think in terms of your family, right? Can you name your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother? Now, I'm sure some of you can, but I guess the point of this is 4 generations before you're more than likely forgotten. Now, you can look at that as a sad thing and, you know, be like, oh, my life is meaningless and I don't know what to do. Start stressing and just, you know, do nothing and bum out for the rest of your life, which more than likely is the case, and what I'm sure a lot of people do, you know, experience. But, you know, a more positive, happy look at this is one of 2 things. Number 1, build a legacy which people will remember, which I feel like at the same time can be egotistical, but is almost fulfilling in its own way, knowing that you're becoming a person that will be remembered. Now, I don't know if that's a motivator for a lot of people, and more than likely isn't, but for myself at least it is. But an even bigger motivator than that, and what I feel like everyone should focus on, is, you know, no one's going to remember you in 4 years. So do things that please you, right? Now, do things that are good, etc., etc. Like, make that little mark. You know, no one's going to remember you, so you might as well do as much good and as much positive things as possible in your lifetime, and live for life. You know, don't live for possessions, don't live for etc., etc. Live for life. And that can be very scary and very, you know, difficult, because let's be honest, humans are very physical creatures. We really want things. Like, you want a new car, you want a bigger house to live in, you want money, you want wealth for your generations to come. And on the topic of wealth, wealth is based and determined on a person's values. Now, a value system I've always liked to, you know, kind of think about and implement to myself when I strive towards goals is the idea of a family, right? Now, family doesn't necessarily mean my family in the future or my family now, etc., but it's the family that is to come, whatever form that is. And, you know, doing things that would make that situation happen, not only, but also make it so I can spend as much time as possible with that group of people, whoever they may be, when the time comes. So it's really down to your value systems, which is very important and a lot of people don't think about truly. You may think this is what I want, but do you really think that? Do you like stop and think this is why I want it? Is the reason I want it correct? Etc. Now back to the whole feeling lost on a marble sort of thing, which I feel like is so prevalent. It's kind of frightening, to say the least. And I don't think there's very many people of my age, at least I don't really watch people my age, so I wouldn't know. Maybe it's a massive topic. But people of my age from that young adulthood documenting their growth through, you know, that situation. And it's interesting because, you know, a lot of people may think, oh, you're going to look back on it and cringe. Now, a very cool thing that I've been told multiple times that I really like is people say when you look back at yourself and cringe, that essentially means that you've grown, you know, you're embarrassed of what you used to be like and say, because what you are now is such an improved version equivalent. And it's also a marker. And if anything, it's nice to look back and see where you came from, how your opinions have changed, how you've changed. And ultimately, I think it's so important. Now, again, this is someone, you know, traversing through the big blue marble that we live on. And, you know, my words don't really mean anything if you think of it in the sense of 4 generations to come. But, you know, it's kind of heartfelt and lovely to think that, you know, you're trying and everything you do has a purpose. So, you know, I don't really know how to explain it further than that, but I think it's really cool that with the amount of grasp and reach we have today in this age, we are able to connect and, you know, talk to people and communicate and watch and learn through other people's mistakes, etc. And at the very least, live our lives to our fullest through our equivalent of fulfillment, joy, family, success, etc., which is really cool. And I hope that kind of makes sense and is prevalent in people's lives, because it's really quite a large emotion that I've realized I've been feeling throughout my last years of, you know, maturing as a person, is not feeling lost as in the sense of, oh, I'm sad, etc., but lost in the sense of almost not sure how to traverse the future ahead of you. And humans are social creatures, you know, you need to communicate, talk. That's why it's so great that we can find people through any means, you know. In the olden days, you'll go to a library, talk to people, meet people at school, college, etc. But nowadays it's really cool. You can talk to people online. Then again, be careful, there are a whole lot of weirdos out there, but you know, it's pretty wholesome. And at the end of the day, the one thing I'm 100% sure of is that humans are meant to be with other humans or other living creatures, and the best way to traverse through this life and through this earth is with others, and making connections and bonds and etc. And it doesn't have to be in the sense of the traditional, you know, you instantly think connection, you think, you know, romantic. You know, friendships are so major and they should really be cherished, and, you know, everything around that and the fun times you have with people, whether that's in person, online, playing video games, etc., etc. It all counts to, you know, your personal development and journey through this earth. I don't know. Cool. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.